With me now to talk about that more is Alberta's Finance Minister, Nate Horner. Minister Horner, good to see you. Thank you very much for making the time.
You bet. No, appreciate the opportunity.
Minister, is threatening to leave the CPP just a way to get the federal government to capitulate on other issues, for example, like equalization and the carbon tax?
Well, I'd like to be clear, Vashi. All we've done is release a report, and we're engaging with Albertans. You know, that's what was asked of me in my mandate letter. That's what the mandate of former Minister Jim Denning is. So we're asking a question: are you interested in this? If you are, you know, what questions do you have? What would be important to you? What would this look like? So the only thing we're forging ahead on, I would say, is engagement.
Okay, let me parse apart that for a second and actually pick up on the engagement perspective, because I went through the survey, and actually the question you just posed to our audience is not included in any of the questions posed to the people taking the survey. It's really just a question of who should manage it and what are the priorities in managing that. There's no should we or shouldn't we. So are you being disingenuous in the way that you're presenting kind of the way in which your province is examining this?
No, not at all. Like the survey you mentioned, we had no intention of making the survey the referendum. We're just asking questions. We're getting feedback. He's doing telephone town halls right now, and there'll be more engagement to follow. But we're looking for supplemental information, and we'll continue to monitor the feedback. I think he's got another 3 telephone town halls and then some in-person engagement lined up before Christmas. So very, very early days. He's just kind of gotten started with his mandate.
So then how are you going to determine the will of Albertans to proceed to a referendum? Like, is there any exact parameter that you could say today, like, for example, we're going to ask this question explicitly: do you want a referendum, and then take results of a survey? Are we going to, I'm just not unclear on the parameters here.
Well, yeah, we won't have a referendum to see if we will have a referendum, but I think we're expecting that Jim Denning and his team will come back with, what have we heard document with recommendations. Tell us if there is support to pursue this. One thing that we have definitely heard is that many Albertans would need more information, especially around the precise number, and that's why Premier Smith's been clear with Prime Minister Trudeau and others that, if this LifeWorks report is wrong, if they've interpreted your legislation wrong, we've had many validate it, but if it's wrong, give us the number or tell us what you think.
And certainly I've asked the federal government in an interview about whether they're going to proceed with some sort of their own analysis, because I do think that's a fair point. I just want to circle back, though, to the process that's underway in order to determine how far this goes. If Mr. Denning comes back to you, like, what's enough to proceed with this? What's enough support? How are you going to measure the support? And I tell you why I'm asking, basically, because the accusation by other provinces or even the federal government is essentially that this is a political move on your government's part to pursue this regardless of the facts or whether or not it's going to be good for Albertans. So I'm just trying to ascertain, so that we have a marker to judge that decision in the future. Like, how will you know you have enough support? Is 51% enough support? Is there any number attached to it? Is it just going to be Mr. Denning say, I think enough people want you to look at this, so we'll have a referendum? Like, how are you going to make that call?
Well, I don't know if we have a precise number, but I think we're sure thinking that we'll have a feeling of the province. There's nothing more emotional than someone's pension. We're well aware. So this is truly to get their feedback. And I think we'll feel that. No one would want to push forward into an unsuccessful referendum. So I think the Premier's been clear that in the last few days, her statement's been, we would never even consider having a referendum without a precise number.
I take that point, and I'll ask you about the number in a second, but and I ask this with great respect, but the idea of leaving the CPP would have massive ramifications potentially for Alberta and the rest of the country, and you're going to base that on a feeling?
Well, I think it'll be more than a feeling. I think there'll be, obviously, polling and submissions, and I think there will be lots of objective data. I guess I meant, a high-level feeling from many sources.
Okay, that's what I wanted to be clear, that there will be sort of objective data presented to Albertans on what you were able to surmise and why you decide what you end up deciding when it comes to a referendum. So you're clear there will be other objective data besides the feeling that your government derives from that consultation.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
and then on the number, I just want to get some clarity on, because that's the big thing that sounded an alarm, right, for the rest of Canada, is that the assessment that you had done so far showed that you were entitled to just over half, $334 billion. Is there any room in your government's kind of position, given that this will ultimately be negotiated with the federal government, for a lower number?
Well, I'd say, it's certainly not my place to comment there, Vashi. I would just say, we commissioned this report through an RFP. Morneau Chappelle won the report. They say in the report, they're doing their best with publicly available data, that it could range from 260 billion to 360 billion. And that's why we've asked, the feds to, if this number's wrong, tell us why, tell us how. And we've welcomed, others. The Canadian Institute of Actuaries reached out to me a couple weeks ago, asking permission to, speak to the authors, do a deep dive into the report, and we welcomed it. We said yes, please. Like, we're not. This isn't our report that we created. It's the best information that we have. And if it's not correct, then please tell us.
But am I to interpret from that you are open to a negotiation that would give Alberta a smaller portion of the fund, if in fact there is data on the other side to support that?
Well, I'm only open to engaging with Albertans. So if they tell us that the number's wrong, then I guess I can take that back to Albertans. But that's the only negotiation that I'm here to have.
But respectfully, again, Minister, I mean, you would be tasked, if the decision was to leave the CPP, with negotiating with the federal finance minister on the terms of that exit, right? And that would involve very much so the number. So I'm just asking whether you believe that negotiation will take place, or whether it's 50% or bust.
I think that the feds, we've asked for the number from the feds. We have not heard back from them. We'll see where this goes, Vashi. That's the best number we have at this time. We welcome all the conversations with the other provincial ministers and the feds, but I really can't speculate.
Okay, Minister, I'll leave it there. I appreciate your time today very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate the opportunity.